Roanoke has a new mayor today. It's Sherman Lea's first day on the job. WSLS 10's John Carlin sat down with him to ask 5 questions as Lee looks forward to his term in office. Lee is just getting settled into the office long held by David Bowers, who did not seek re-election this year. John asked Lee where he'll focus first.
What do you want to be as the first project you undertake now that you're the mayor?
Well, I want to get in and I want to meet with the city manager and start talking about jobs. That was something that I campaigned on throughout the course of the campaign, and what we can do and to just go forward from that standpoint. I think we've had, without a doubt, probably one of the best springs that we've had in the city with the brewery, the Shoes Brewery that's coming into our city, and that's going to really make some things happening.
Lee also told us that he will focus on education and the police department as some early projects. We'll have more of John's 5 questions with Sherman Lea tonight at 5 and 6, including the mayor's thoughts on race relations in the city.
Well, Sherman Lea takes over as Roanoke's new mayor today, and I had a chance to sit down with him this week to ask him 5 questions about where he wants the city to go under his leadership. And we sat down in the mayor's office, which he is just taking over from David Bowers, and Lee tells me that he wants to work on race relations in the city as the city's second African-American mayor. What do you think is the status of race relations in Roanoke? It's been known off and on as one of the most segregated cities in Virginia. Where are we with race relations?
Well, for the most part, I think we're a city that we get along well with races. I think there's some things that we can improve on. I think we are divided to a degree, but I don't see the bitterness that we've had in other cities. I think we need to continue to talk about race, and that's one of the things that I want to do as mayor, is to possibly form a committee to look at race, to talk about, bring some people together.
Today is Mayor Sherman Lea's first day in office, and I sat down with him this week to ask him 5 questions about his thoughts and concerns as he takes over the reins from longtime Mayor David Bowers, including his thoughts on race relations. Do you feel particular pressure from the African-American community to try and improve their situation, or do you feel pressure as mayor to try and bring everybody together? Where are the real pressures that come from that you feel every day as you're walking around Roanoke?
Well, let me be honest. You're always going to have a certain amount of pressure. You're going to have, there are certain people in the African-American community that, hey, you know, you've got to improve on this. We got a scorecard. We want to see where you are. That's part of it. I knew that going in. That's always been there. You know, I've been on council for 12 years, so I understand where we are and what's expected, and I feel I have a good grasp for the city. But I want to be the mayor that brings people together. And many people have talked to me about being the second African-American to be the mayor of the city. And the good thing about that, and my focus hasn't been so much about being the second African-American, even though that's significant. So to answer your question, yes, there will be, I'm sure there'll be people tugging at me, that's part of it, but I knew that going in. And I look forward to the challenge, and what I want to do is to make sure that I have an open, honest, serve as manager, as the council and mayor, and to make sure that people feel like they can trust what I say.